Okay. Good morning. Thank you for coming today. I just thought that it was important. We just thought that it was important to give a brief on the progress that the Congress has of our provincial Congress as we are preparing towards the National Congress. The MDC has completed 11 provincial congresses. Delegates elected provisional leaders and submitted their nominations for standing committee positions. The Youth and Women Assemblies also conducted similar processes, nominating members of these respective management committees. Each provincial congress was presided over by an independent commissioner in line with principles set out in the party constitution. The following are the results of the provincial congresses. We will put up the results of the provincial congresses on our website of the all 11 provincial congresses. We are left with 2, that is the UK and the South African Congress, which will be held within the next 2 or 3 days. That will then complete our 13 congresses. The party will convene provincial caucuses where the delegates will discuss policy, ideology, institutional and constitutional reform. A national congress will be held starting from the 24th of May in Gweru up to the 27th of May. The gathering will receive reports, take stock of the past 5 years, adopt resolutions on policy, programming, party, constitution, and ideology. Finally, an independent commission will elect the party's national leaders to hold office for the next 5 years. Separate congresses will be held for the women and youth respectively. Resolutions from these congresses will feed into the main congress. The gatherings will also elect their leaders from a list of those nominated by the provinces. So the nominations have been for the top 10 positions, and it's up to the leaders to now accept the nominations. Once people have accepted the nominations at the level that they aspire to be, we will then get to see who will be on the ballot for a particular post. For instance, one leader might be nominated for the spokespersonship or the organizing or any other post, but one has to select one post. What has been clear though from the provincial congresses that has been held thus far, that President Advocate Nelson Chamisa has received nominations from the 11 provinces. The other posts are hotly contested. There have been nominations. The one with the highest nominations has been the VP post, where there have been a record number of female candidates contesting, and also a good number of political stalwarts that are there. We've also noted with pleasure the progress that gender issues have taken in our provincial leadership. For instance, the Mount South provincial leadership has got 5 women and 5 men in the top 10 positions. This is the first that has happened in the history of the MDC, that a provincial leadership has gender parity in all the positions. The other provincial caucuses have not performed as well, but there's been a significant increase in the number of women leaders in the provincial leadership that we have. We have also been very delighted and happy with the caliber of the leadership that has come out of the provincial congresses. Others have opted for continuity, others have opted for change, and that is what it is in a democratic environment. There should be change and so forth. In Bulawayo, there have been significant increase in the number of women in the provincial executive as well as many other provinces. But these whole lists are up on our media platforms, on our Facebook, on our Twitter, and on our website, and they fully reveal the numbers and the personalities that have been selected.
Mr. Mafume, there has been some issue that has been raised by some other party members that you are accommodating G40 members or former G40 factional members from ZANU-PF. What's your comment on that?
The MDC is a big tent. We do not discriminate against groupings that might not be there. As you remember, the G40 issue was a ZANU-PF construct. What we know is that people come to the MDC as individuals. Once you've been accepted as a member, we have a template where you can contest for positions and certain positions. There are other positions that you cannot contest for. There are other positions that you're able to contest for. But what we do have is that we've had former ZANU-PF members being part of the MDC. And we have many parties and individuals that have come to the MDC. And we take them in. We have rules. Our party is not changed by the color of the individuals coming into the party. It has set rules, a set ideology, a set way of operating, and it changes people. That's why it is called the Movement for Democratic Change. Our agenda is to change those who were in ZANU-PF to become MDC, those who were non-political to become MDC, and we celebrate when we succeed in bringing a diverse grouping of people under our fold.
Is there a clause where MDC contested as MDC Alliance during the 2018 elections? Is everyone within the alliance eligible to be nominated for a post in the upcoming Congress?
Yes, the MDC is the MDC. The MDC Alliance was an electoral symbol, and the parties have integrated. Everybody is a fully fledged member of the MDC. So you are an MDC member, period. You are not an MDC Alliance member. You do no longer belong to your previous party. People belong to the MDC. And all you have to do is to fit the requirements of the template, where waivers are required, because every rule has, and indeed has got a waiver put in it. Where waivers are required, you then apply for the waiver. For instance, the organizer of Harare, Mr. Paul Mazzori, did apply for a waiver so that he could come contest as the organizer for Harare. So you get to apply for the waiver, but everybody is an MDC member, period. And the constitution of the MDC applies, the templates applies, and all other rules that the MDC makes apply as they are made by the National Council and the various bodies that have the mandate to make those rules.
One of the contesting members, Mr. Douglas Mwanzora, cited that there's been an uneven playing ground. He also said that there's been violence which has been coming towards him from party members. What's your comment on that?
Mr. Mwanzora is the Secretary General of the party. The process was initiated from his office, from the Congress. Constitutionally, he and other leaders superintend the Congress. He has been present on the majority of the provincial congresses that have taken place. He has been in all of them, if I recall, from Mad South up to the latest in Mashingo or Blawayo. And he has been part of the leadership that has been there, freely mingling with the delegates. There has not been any campaign period that has been initiated. The campaigns will initiate once you accept nomination. Once you accept nomination for a particular position, that is exactly where you then accept. And you will recall, Mr. Mwanzora did announce in the Mutare Congress, his home place, that he is not going to be contesting for the presidential, and that he would rather be nominated for any other position than the presidential position. That announcement was made in good faith. There was no violence, there was no force, there was no undue influence. He is a lawyer, a constitutional expert of over a period of time, and he knows the platforms that he has to make any complaints. And as for the complaints you are making or you are alluding to, I've seen some online reports. I'm not sure whether those words came from the Secretary General's mouth. He has not said they came from him, and he, of all people, knows the platforms to be used when one has grievances against a particular process. He is well versed with the Constitution. He's one of the custodians of our Constitution, and he knows the processes one has to take if you've got legitimate complaints about a process.
Also, one thing that has been noted, especially by the general public, is that while you allude that there's been an increase in number of female participants. There seems to be a trend that all the females, most of the females are taking the vice presidents or the vice posts. They're not taking the actual position. Is this something that you discussed, or something that's just happening naturally?
Well, it's an accurate reflection. Tabitha Kumalo is contesting for the presidium, which is the chairperson, which is a substantive post. A number of female candidates are contesting for quite substantive posts. One of these posts that you call vice are actually more important than the posts that are not vice. So if one, for instance, becomes a vice president, that post is more important and higher than the spokesperson. Myself, even if it is a substantive post, it is higher than the treasurer general. So the word vice must not mislead you into thinking that the post is there for second best to every post in the organization. It is not. These are critical posts of value in the organization. Vice Secretary General is higher than many of the posts in the organization. And so let us not confuse being a vice to the weight of the post. Being a vice may actually be more important than being a fully fledged information officer or a fully fledged treasurer or a fully fledged organizer. So every post in the standing committee, in the leadership, is a very important and critical post.
I just want to understand, is there any opportunity to have floor nominations when you are at Congress?
Well, Congress is the ultimate organization. It's the ultimate authority in the organization. But the template requires that nominations be made province by province. The template requires that one campaigns. The template requires that people know the candidate that they are to vote for beforehand. So you would need a very extraordinary reason to want to ambush the Congress delegates on Congress Day and bring a floor nomination. The rules do not ascribe to that. The rules provide for a clear nomination process, and once the nomination process is closed, it is closed.
We saw during your primary elections that there was complaint over lack of adhering to your constitution. Now your Secretary General again raises this issue that there is lack of adhering to the constitution. Are these just allegations that keep coming out? Are you worried about this, and are you addressing this?
Well, first of all, the allegations have to be raised on a formal platform. There has to be a letter. The Constitution is very clear. If you've got a complaint, you write it and raise it at a forum. Otherwise, we will be chasing the wind, or we'll be chasing allegations that are non-specific. So if someone says you have violated the Constitution, one is duty-bound to mention the clause of the Constitution that has been violated. One is duty-bound to mention the rule that has been violated. One is duty-bound to mention the instance where it has been violated. As far as we are concerned, our Congress has substantially complied with the provisions of the Constitution. Our Congress has substantially adhered to the dictates of the Constitution. The names have come, voting has been by secret ballot, the provincial congresses have been done, people have been notified in time, those who had their issues, they've been solved there and then, those who needed waivers, those who needed to complain. Yes, there will be certain people who will have specific allegations around a specific post. They are free to raise those within the appropriate forums at the appropriate time. But by and large, this has been one of the most successful processes. The provincial congresses have been well attended. Thousands of people have come. They've been excited about the leadership. They are well aware of their rights. And remember, these are not elections for ordinary people. These are elections of the rank and file of the MDC. These are people who form the core basis of the MDC. They are well versed with the rules. They've participated in national party elections. They know the rules. They raise issues immediately A process will not continue. If it violates any particular rule, it will be stopped. That's why it has been taking a long time to continue with the processes. They do not wait to go back to their homes to rectify issues. They are rectified there and then on the provincial floor. And the things are done according to the constitution, which everybody is well versed with.
Just to get a clarity from your office, looking at the vice presidential posts, we have seen quite a number of people who are interested in this post. And before 2016, MDC used to have 2 vice presidents, 1 female and 1 male. Now, are we going to see something different? Are we going to see 3 vice presidents again? What is your constitution saying? What's the clarity with regards
we're going to have
3 vice presidents?
We're going to have 3 vice presidents. The 3 vice presidents, they are going to come from an electoral processes because there have been quite a number of nominations for that. There are about 7 candidates vying for that post that have been nominated by the provincial congresses. These are functions. The question has been asked about why you have so many vice presidents. These are not rewards, and this is not the state presidents. These are rather functions at a senior level. We are following the example of some social democratic parties in Germany and other places where the vice president is an issue of functionality. There will be vice president in charge of finance and admin, vice presidents in charge of party building, vice presidents in charge of international affairs, and other portfolios that might be determined from time to time by the president and the organs of the party. And this is to give weight to certain functions. This is to enable the party to be able to have sufficient weight and authority in executing a multifaceted functions. People should distinguish the vice presidents of parties to the vice presidents of the country. The vice presidencies of the country are positions that are determined by the national constitution. It does not follow that if we have 3 vice presidents or 4 vice presidents, then Zimbabwe as a nation will have 4 vice presidents. It will not. The presidents of the country is governed by the constitution, and some of our vice presidents that we will have will become maybe senior ministers or ministers in the government, or some of them will remain in the party to continue the work of building the party. But as far as the party is concerned, we require this hierarchical authority to be able to execute and build an opposition party that is fighting in a system where the ground is unlevel and there is heavy state interference and military interference in civilian party affairs.
There's a group,
just a follow-up on that one to get more clear. What's the procedure you're going to use at the Congress? Is it going to be maybe the first person who garners main votes, then descending in that order? What's the procedure? You have got a first session, then second session. How clear? I mean, how
well,
will you go about
the
it?
National Council will elaborate on that, but the issue is it will be, people will be aware that they are selecting 3 vice presidents, and that it will be a direct vote as possible, where the top 3 or the 3 that garner the highest votes will then go through in that order, probably with the one who is leading becoming 1, and then 2nd, and then 3rd, and then there's a cutoff at that period. It's not a unique issue. Many elections have been held on this basis for a period of time.
There is a group, a pressure group, which calls themselves in defense of Morgan Tsvangirai legacy. Are these members of MDC? Is this pressure group aligned to MDC?
No, we don't have such a pressure group in our constitution. We don't have a group that takes the legacy of Morgan Tsvangirai. If you want to take the legacy of a leader, you don't form a pressure group to fight his political party. If you take up a group that deals with the legacy of a leader, you create a trust that gives scholarships, that enhances democracy, and so forth and so forth. That is what we know, the Nelson Mandela Foundation, Obama Foundations, and so forth. You do not take a person's name and his legacy and use it as a battering ram to fight the political party he set up. That is an oxymoron, and that is an abuse of the legacy of Morgan Tsvangirai. Probably once his trusts are up, and his family has set up the appropriate trusts, they will aggressively follow people who are abusing the name of our icon, just in as much as the Nelson Mandela Trust does to people who try to abuse the Nelson Mandela Trust or the Nelson Mandela name. This is an abuse of Morgan Tsvangirai's name. You do not fight against his political party. We inherited his legacy at the political party. We do not have pressure groups in the MDC. We just have the MDC as a political party, and these are proxies of the state, sponsored by the state, gets airtime through the state and ZBC, and we're meant to disrupt our Congress. And we are happy that our members did not hit this disruptive element and have continued with our Congress as well as they have done.